Okay, we'll call our meeting to order, councilors, and we'll start as usual with a moment of silence to pray or as you wish, so that we may better be able to do the business of the county this evening. Thank you. Now, we should have our, next thing we have is our land acknowledgement. So we want to acknowledge that we're on the ancestral territories of the Mi'kmaq people. And we want to thank all those Mi'kmaq people of today for the great help their ancestors were to our ancestors, whether they came 4 years ago or 400 years ago. We are all treaty people. Now we're on to the approval of the agenda. So it looks lengthy, but let's hope we can work our way through it. Would somebody like to make a motion? Okay, moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda in front of you. Any questions on that? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Now we'll move on to emergency resolutions. Look at Councillor Dewar.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. This only came up at the very end of the day today, and it's November is 4-H month in Nova Scotia, and we had a request to fly the flag and just make a proclamation for 4-H.
Yeah.
So I know it wasn't on the agenda and everything up to, I'm bringing it up now, and I'm hoping we'll get the support of council to support that. Thank you.
Okay, and as you know, it requires unanimous consent. Is there unanimous consent to read the resolution that we have, I have here in front of me for, to declare this 4-H month in Pictou County?
Agree.
Okay, hearing no disagreement, we will add that, well, we usually do our proclamations near the first, so let's add it. We'll do the errors and omissions on the minutes, and then we'll put it just before the correspondence. We'll deal with the proclamation then. I think I have it in front of me. Yep. Okay, so any other emergency resolutions I should ask? Seeing none, let's move along then to our minutes from our last meeting, October the 3rd. Are there any errors or omissions from that October 3rd meeting, from the minutes? Any errors or omissions from the October 3rd meeting? One last time, any errors or omissions from the October 3rd meeting? Seeing none, we'll declare those minutes approved as presented. So at this point, I will read the proclamation for the making this 4-H month. And my note here says that following Remembrance Day, we will be flying the 4-H flag in honor of 4-H month. And our MOPC lights on the end of our building here will be green for November for 4-H. So once Remembrance Day is passed this Saturday, then we'll fly the 4-H flag for the rest of this month. Okay, and I'll read the proclamation now that November is 4-H month 2023. Whereas November is National 4-H month across Canada, as we join 4-H members, volunteer leaders, alumni, and supporters wearing green and showing our 4-H colors. Whereas 4-H in Canada has a positive youth development formula that builds responsible, caring, and contributing young people who are empowered to be successful through a supportive structure. Whereas 8,500 volunteers give close to 23,500 young people across Canada an opportunity to benefit from the skill development and personal growth that 4-H offers. Therefore, I, Robert Parker, Warden of the Municipality of the County of Pictou, do hereby proclaim November as 4-H month in Pictou County and urge all Pictou County residents to wear green and celebrate the many contributions of 4-H and the important role that the 4-H program plays in the leadership development of Canadian youth. Dated at Pictou, Nova Scotia, the 6th day of November, 2023, signed by myself, Warden Robert Parker. Okay, so that's the proclamation, and they actually have some young people, leaders that are willing to come in and help raise that flag maybe on Monday after Remembrance Day on Saturday. I know they do have some people willing to do that. So that's the reading of the proclamation. I think anybody in this room that knows anything about 4-H knows just how valuable it is to this county, and the tremendous number of leaders that give hours and hours and hours of their time to make sure that our young people have all the opportunities that 4-H has to offer. So we'll move on to correspondence. In the uncirculated, we have a thank you from the Pictou County Forest School for the council grant. And a thank you from the Walter Duggan Consolidated School, McCullough Education Center, and the Frank H. McDonald Academy for council grants to the breakfast and backpack programs. And we have several pieces of correspondence that were circulated to you, including a letter from the Minister of Public Safety, Dominic LeBlanc, and a letter from Minister of Municipal Affairs, John Lohr, letter from Minister of Public Works, Kim Maslin, letter from NSFM, letter from the Premier regarding the province's clean energy plan, and a thank you from the 55 Plus Games for sponsorship and support. And before I ask for any questions or comments on the correspondence, I just saw this for the first time tonight, but this was given to us for the role that we played in the 55 Plus Games. So I'll leave it up here, and after the meeting, everybody can have a look at it. But it's very nice. It's something we can hang down in our front hall there. I'm sure Joanne's got a place picked out. It's got quite a bit of weight to it, too. So we thank the organizers of the 55 Plus Games for sure for sending that to this council. Now, of those letters that I mentioned, I guess if you write letters to people, you get some back sometimes. So that's why we've got so many letters here. But is there any that anybody wants to make any comment on? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I was kind of surprised to see this. There's a request of mine that we contacted the minister. Not too many times you get a letter back, but I understand what he's saying there. I just don't believe in the second last paragraph that everything was followed in this case. I was just wondering if this letter could be posted on our website, because there's a lot of people from our area are asking if we got a response back. So is that possible? That could go on, or would that be against our rules?
Can we do that, Brian? But that's a letter from the minister. It's public letter here at the meeting tonight. No issue.
Okay. Thank you.
It is important that our citizens know what we're hearing back from various ministers at various levels. That was certainly a big concern. It would be no matter what community in this county that happened in, but it happened to be in Wayne's area. But I'm sure it'd be a big concern no matter where it was. Okay. Any other comments on the correspondence? Councillor Dave Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Following the Deputy Warden's lead, again, it's a letter that I asked be sent to the Minister of Public Works regarding the dangerous corner intersection on Route 289. I'm not sure changing the signage is going to help a whole lot, but it's the geometry of the intersection that is the problem, in my opinion. That I would ask also, if we could, post that letter on our website. So a fair amount of interest out my way about that. Secondly, I note we have a letter from Minister Lohr, almost like he was campaigning for his piece of legislation, which was before the House at that time, and it drew some flack from Cape Breton Regional Municipality. I noted that it did not say anything, nor does the legislation say anything about the proposal, which was floated around in the summer, that we would have to take over basically all of the roads in this county, which would effectively bankrupt, if not the county, would bankrupt many of our citizens. And the third comment I wish to make on the, I read very carefully, a fairly lengthy document on clean energy plan. Sounds good, but until we start to see some real boots on the ground in terms of upgrading our energy infrastructure, they're just pipe dreams. So onshore energy and offshore energy and blah, blah, blah. I'm very disappointed that they're not taking any initiative to upgrade the power lines between Port Hawkesbury and Central Onslow, and that they're not doing anything to improve the physical infrastructure from Pomket, we'll call it, to Ald's Cove, and from Truro to Ald's Cove on the railroad. Until those things happen, it's just a pipe dream. Until we see real action on the ground, you can make any plans you want, but if you don't put any action behind them, well, nothing happens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Any further comments or questions to do with the correspondence? Okay, seeing none, we have a dangerous and unsightly hearing at this time for 2403 East River West Side Road. I'm going to let Ann take over at this point, or did I see her? Oh, I was looking over there. Yeah. So Ann, will you please lead us through this dangerous and unsightly for 2403 East River West Side Road?
This is the file regarding Randy Allen Ramsey, and I received the notice of complaint on December 12th, 2022. Initial site visit was June 8th, 2023. I received an email from Janice Ramsey, which would be the wife, ex-wife, Mr. Ramsey, inquiring if there would be a danger to unsightly odor of the property, as she had been in contact with Jason LaGreca. I responded and told her that
Is your mic on, Ann, or some must have?
how's this?
That's a little better. Eat the mic.
The initial notice to Randy Allen Ramsey went out on July 21st, 2023, and requiring that he submit a plan to remedy the danger to unsightly condition of the structure on the site by August 11th, 2023. Nothing took place. There was a title search requested on August 25th and received on September 5th. I received several more emails from Janice Ramsey, so claiming that work had been done, that the roof had been repaired. So at that point, we had pictures of the drone that was flown over, and the roof is not repaired. Several other things that were requested that weren't taken care of. The chimney was to be repaired and inspected. So the site was posted with a notice of opportunity to attend council on October 27th, and the site was visited today, and pictures for today were taken. And the last set of pictures are of the drone over the roof. So these are the drone over the roof. Property size is 0.3 of an acre, and the property is valued at $68,800. Outstanding taxes are at $3,086.
Okay, that's the end of your presentation then, Ann? Okay, so we'll open it, do we do the order first or open it up for questions first? What's the general,
I think you usually put the resolution
on the table?
on the table. Yeah.
Okay, so who's gonna read this resolution? Is this in your area, Andy? You don't have it. Do you have a written one of it there, Brian? or-
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the package. Just after all the minutes from last time.
So, resolution, be it resolved by the municipal council for the municipality of the county of Pictou, the council find that the property located at 2403 East River West Side Road, Sunnybray, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, with the tax account number of 050200123 and a PID number of 00898684 and further described in the attached order is dangerous and unsightly. Be it resolved that the council pursuant to section 346, part 15 of chapter 18 of the Acts of 1998, the Municipal Government Act, make an order in the form of attached hereto and forming part of this resolution, the said order being signed and issued forthwith on behalf of the council by the Chief Administrative Officer of the municipality or his designate, dated at Pictou, Nova Scotia, this 6th day of November 2023, moved by myself, Andy Thompson, and seconded by
Councillor Chester Dooley.
Councillor Chester Dewar.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thompson. So you've heard the reading of the resolution concerning the property that Ann has just described to us at 2403 East River West Side Road in Sunnybury. And the order accompanies that with what has to be done within, how many days was it? Is it 30 days? That has to be done within 30 days. And there's nobody here representing, I should have asked this before, but I knew who everybody was. So there's nobody here representing, or is it, there's nobody out there, is there? Oh, okay, they're on another matter, okay. So there's nobody here, so there's no response to this. So what are the next, I should open it up for questions first, sorry. Is there any questions from councillors on this resolution? Councillor Dave Parker.
Yeah, I read through it. I just want to be clear here. So Mr. Ramsey has indicated he has, quote, no interest in the property. Is that correct?
Mr. Ramsey has not communicated.
With you at all? But Mrs. Ramsey has?
Yes, she's on the mortgage for the property, but not on the deed for the property, so she was notified of
Yeah.
the actions.
And has she claimed that some work has been done?
She's claimed that the roof was repaired and that they were going to do the chimney, and then we had the drone and take pictures to show that the roof had come repaired.
That drone picture that I saw had a bunch of smaller black, what appear to be holes in the metal of the roof. Is that what those are, is holes? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions for Ann on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a, oh, go ahead, Randy.
Just on that, Ann, how long have the taxes been overdue? You said $3,000 something.
Yeah, I don't have an indication as to when the last payments were made, I just got the statement today.
Okay, but it's over $3,000. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I'll look around again, make sure there's no further questions on, comments on the resolution. And I don't see any, so we'll have the vote on the resolution. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion's carried. So you'll carry the ball the rest of the way on this one then, that we've got it through council here. So we're now going to move on to the resolutions. And the first resolution is charitable receipts issued for Sarah, the Salem Park. And calling Councillor Elliott to present that resolution.
Resolution, whereas the municipality of the County of Pictou is registered with the Canada Revenue Agency as a qualified donee, whereas the Income Tax Act permits qualified donees to issue official donation receipts for income tax purposes, whereas the Salem and Area Recreation Association has requested that the municipality receive donated funds for the operation and improvements to the Salem Park and issue charitable tax receipts to respective donors. Whereas the Financial Services Committee supports this request and recommends that the municipality charitable tax number be used for that purpose. Therefore, be it resolved, the municipality of the County of Pictou authorize the collection of charitable donations to the Salem and Area Recreation Association and the issuance of charitable tax receipts dated at Pictou, Nova Scotia, this 6th day of November, 2023, moved by myself, Councillor Elliott.
Seconded, Councillor Parker.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we give the, same as we've given to some other communities, to Sarah and the Salem Athletic, Salem and Area Recreation Association, I guess is the right term, so that people can get their receipts here from the county if they want to donate money to that effort, and as everybody here knows, it takes a lot of money to do anything, and you're starting from a big old ball field that had stuff on it that had to be gotten rid of, and now it's in pretty good shape and coming along fast. First are there any questions on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Against? And I want to recognize that in our crowd tonight, small crowd, but we have a crowd, we have two of the people who've done an awful lot of work on that Salem ball field. Clifford to my left and Paul to my right. They've done tremendous amount of work, a lot of hours put in. There's a whole team of people, but these are two that have done a lot of the back-breaking work anyway. Clifford's tractor gets fixed to be able to do more. Thank you for being here tonight, you fellas. And thank you for this motion going through. Okay, and then we have the PACE bylaw amendment, first reading, and Councillor Dave Parker's doing that.
I'm not required to read the whole thing, I just read the motion. Resolution, first reading, take notice that the following bylaw will be presented to council for second reading on December 4th, 2023. Be it resolved by the municipal council for the municipality of the county of Pictou that council adopt the following property assessed clean energy program bylaw, known as the PACE bylaw, dated at Pictou NS, it's the 6th day of November 2023, moved by myself, Councillor David Parker, seconded by
Okay, so you've heard the reading on the PACE bylaw, and it's been moved and seconded. I just want to say that we have had one public meeting here, and we had a pretty good crowd here on that night, a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was. And there's another one coming up, but it'll be at the Wellness Center, and I think it's on the 15th? 16th? On November 16th. And again, it's just trying to explain people what this bylaw is about, and it's no longer called PACE, now it's called
Switch.
Switch, yeah, okay. Hard to keep up with the change in names sometimes, but it's good news for the county, there's no doubt about that. Especially as we add some of the new clauses to it, that's going to be able to help people not just with putting solar panels onto their roofs or in their fields, but it's also now going to be used for heat pumps, for new doors and windows, any energy conservation, insulation, and this gives us a group for people to work with that they'll help steer people through all the grants that are available, and they'll make sure that resident of ours gets all possible grants before they lend them any money. And so it's not only going to help people finance improvements to their home energy-wise, but it's going to give them good advice, I think, from this company, and they just got a taste of that the other night, and they'll get more at the Wellness Center. Okay, so we've had the reading of the resolution. We didn't have a vote, did we? Okay, but it's been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Okay, we'll have the vote on that. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Okay, and the next one is the tourism marketing bylaw, second reading. Councillor Thompson.
Resolution, be it resolved by the municipal council for the municipality of the county of Pictou that council adopt the following tourism marketing levy bylaw, dated at Pictou, Nova Scotia, the 6th day of November 2023, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Don Butler.
Okay, so you've heard the reading of the resolution. I'm going to speak on this eventually, so I don't want to be in the chair, so I'm going to ask the deputy to go in the chair, but if he has anything to say on that resolution, I would give him that opportunity first. All good? Okay, but I'll take my turn, and you take the chair over, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, for questions on the resolution. Mary, go ahead. Councillor Elliott, sorry.
I'm just going to say what I said about it before because I think it's important. Pictou County is very unique. And why would the taxpayers' dollars be used to collect a levy to give a business association taxation powers? And where will it stop? Who's going to knock on the door next wanting the same thing for them? We shouldn't be implementing tax. We should be trying to help cut costs, if anything, with the economy the way it is. And where is the accountability for this? Where will these funds be spent, and who will be policing those not paying? I have been a nay from the first discussion, and I still cannot support this. I will be remaining a nay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davy Parker?
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I also have been opposed on several grounds. Now, I want to clarify, I do believe there is a place for promotion, tourism promotion, and where they get their money from. I noticed in the resolution, there's no mention whatsoever of where the money's going to go. You can say you heard it here first. This will amount to more than $1 million within a year or so. I'm aware of at least 2 other proposals to put substantial motels, whatever you want to call them, within our urban area. $1 million is a lot of money to have out there without a single item in the bylaw that provides any accountability. Okay, I'm certain that if we ever get a municipal auditor, that he or she will have a field day with this particular item. Okay, I think we need to tighten it up. I'm not opposed to the idea of using monies, however they're collected, to promote tourism. But I do think there has to be an accountability measure within the bylaw, and it's not there. It's very carefully outlined what happens if a business doesn't pay. Though I did recall very clearly Ms. McKinnon saying at least 3 times that night that it would be voluntary. There's no indication in our bylaw whatsoever that it's voluntary. And it can amount to a substantial amount of money. But there are some things we could improve, but I really think, I agree with Councillor Elliott, we're opening up a can of worms here, a group that has come in to claim to be representative of the tourism industry, but didn't provide any evidence of that. So we're imposing a tax on a group of businesses without any evidence, without any accountability. Okay, and there's issues there. And, you know, what's to say that I don't come in next month and say I'm representing, I don't know, the blueberry producers of the county, and I want to levy on them. That's just a crazy example, but it's because it's so wide open, it leads itself to that type of abuse. As I said, and I will repeat as I close, that I believe we do need to support our tourism industry and the promotion of that tourism industry. It's just there's several details here that I think that could be improved. So I will be voting against it.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Councillor Boyles?
Yeah, well, I think anybody that's seen Cindy here would know Cindy's a big part of Dean's. I mean, she's been doing stuff. I see what Dean's has done. We go to their gala every year. We turn around and the stuff I know from our own organization that Dean's has helped us tremendous with stuff we need and everything. So myself, I done some talking. I searched into it and talked to I talked to Cindy and a few more of them and found out is it a good thing? Is it not a good thing? In my books, I think it is a good thing, so I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Boyles. Any further questions before we ask the Warden? Go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Robert.
If you get somebody else.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna take this mask down so you can hear me better. I generally don't speak against something unless I'm fairly concerned about it. And I am concerned about this, not in terms of Dean's. I think we have to be very careful. This is not a popularity vote for whether you're in favor of Dean's or not. If we don't pass this motion, Dean's will continue to exist and continue to do the good work they've done up to this day. And they have done a lot of good work for our county. So I think we have to be very careful to make sure that we're not putting this down as a vote on whether Dean's is doing a good job or not. There's 2 or 3 arguments or debatable points, I guess, that I can't agree with. One is, or reasons for doing this. One is that, well, everybody else is doing it. Everywhere we go in the city or we go anywhere, everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't we? To me, that's not a strong enough reason to vote for something. And the other is that people from away are going to be paying it. It's not our people that are going to be paying it. This money's going to be collected from people from away. Well, the whole idea of tourism, we're trying to attract people from away to come here. If we then turn around and kind of treat them like, well, you're from away, we can kind of sock it to you. That doesn't seem quite fair. You know, what are they going to tell their friends and family back home about the way they were treated here? And so those two, now it was brought up the other night that we've already given taxation away to a degree to the fire departments. But fire departments are a public service. There was chosen by, a long time ago by councils before, most of us were around, perhaps not Chester and Wayne or Dave, but it was decided to give taxation powers to the fire departments. But like I say, fire departments are a public service. If we weren't giving them the taxation power and they didn't have that, we would have to pay a lot more for fire departments. So I don't put this in the same group as the fire departments. What I see this as is giving part of industry, in this case the tourism industry, but it could be all kinds of other parts of industry in Pictou County, the power of taxation. Yes, we're doing it, but we're doing it for them. We're not keeping any of that money, but to my mind, the power of taxation is almost sanctimount. People trust us as councillors because they trust us to be fair with the taxes, to keep it as low as we can, and to give people every opportunity to pay their taxes. But once we start loosening those strings up and say, well, we'll tax for you or we'll tax for you, and it becomes an almost open game to see if you can get part of the tax income. Taxes are very hard for a lot of people in this county to come up with. I know a lot of people that put money in the jar every time it's payday or whatever to help pay the taxes. So we have to be very careful that we don't treat taxes too lightly. But the final point I want to make, and I made an effort to contact another municipality in this province, a rural municipality like our own, about this whole accountability thing. Right now we're talking 300,000. My brother Dave said it could be higher. It probably will be. Everything else goes up, but it's still a lot of money without any accountability attached to it. So I asked the warden of this county, do you have the marketing levy? Yes. And how, is there any accountability? Oh yes, we wouldn't do it without accountability. So she sent it to me, a whole ream of stuff that they have to be accountable for. There's a committee of 6 people made up of citizens and councillors, and they have to go over every expenditure. It's not just open game and say, well, whatever you think's good, go for it. It has to be accountable. So I think there's still more work that needs to be done on this. I think we should defeat it tonight, and I realize that may not happen, but that's my feeling, is we defeat it and we don't throw it out. We take it back and work on it and get it in a fashion so that we have accountability written in there. And there's some other things that need to be clearly in there too, like who has the power to change that rate? It'll go up on its own just because it's a percentage. But in this other municipality you're talking about, they had a flat rate for the rooms. It wasn't a percentage, so it didn't go up on its own. But I think it needs some more looking at. There's a lot of areas in our businesses that are in the tourism business, they haven't heard of this. I assumed when they came here asking that all the businesses were on side, but that's certainly not the case. Certainly other areas have put it off because there's not the support there from business. I assumed, and others did, that they had all lined up with the businesses, but that's not the case. So those are my points. I just think it's something we have to be really careful of the precedent that we're setting, and protect that taxation no matter who we're taxing. It has to be done in a very careful way. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Councillor McKeel.
Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. I have spoken on this at the first reading about my concerns over accountability, and my sentiments have not changed this evening. I think that it's very important that there's oversight to this, and I feel that it doesn't have the teeth yet to do that. I've done a lot of thinking over this since last time, and it doesn't sit right with me. I just don't feel like it's ready yet. I feel like it's almost there, but there needs to be a little bit more work done on it yet. Again, I am a very big supporter of deans. I think they do excellent work. I think they're necessary for what they're doing in this county and helping us out. I also think that the province is, we use the word downloading a lot. I think this is kind of going to be in the future how our tourism for our province and for our counties is, I guess, quote unquote, delivered. But I just want to make sure we get it right. And the point that bothers me the most is just the accountability. The team that's in place at Dean's now is excellent. 5 or 10 years from now, it may be a completely different team. How do we protect not only the taxpayers, the collectors, the membership of Dean's, but also Dean's itself? So I would like to see this come back and those things fixed so we can make sure that we have a complete and full marketing levy bylaw, definitely one that I personally feel more comfortable on. So I don't know if that's through a table. Can we table this evening? Is that in line with protocol? Mr. Cullen?
I think you would have to defeat it because you've advertised that you're considering it. So if you're going to make substantive changes, you would have to restart your process. So you would have to, in essence, make those changes, bring it back through first reading type thing. So second reading is not, because the way the readings go and the rule of thumb is you do not make substantive changes at second reading because you've advertised it to the public that you're considering a bylaw in this form. So if your amendments are, an example with this would be like the bylaw sets the rate at 3%. If you came tonight and said we want to make an amendment to make it 4%, that would be out of line because it's making the bylaw substantially different. If you lessen restriction, it's permissible because you've advertised it at one standard and you're lowering the standard type thing. That's kind of a generic example of how a bylaw would work, but depending on the nature, you're almost better restart. If there is that intent, it's to restart rather than get into a whole bunch of or series of amendments and things of that nature. So.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I thank you for your clarification there. I would like to note that I did bring this up at the first reading and tried to make amendments there, but we were unsuccessful that night in doing so. So I think my closing remark would be that I think that this is very important. I'm supportive of it, but I just don't think it's quite there yet. I think there needs to be a bit more work done, a bit more teeth to it, and a bit more clarification. I think there's a few things that are too broad in it, and I think we need to tighten this up a little bit. So, thank you very much, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Councillor McKeel. Councillor Thompson.
I have a point of order. I don't follow our parliamentarians' logic. When can you table an item? Move to table. Couldn't do it last month, can't do it this month. That's point of order.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
The three of us can go ahead. Do you want to answer it? It's because it was advertised.
In essence, it's the motion to table was in order last month and it was defeated. So that was in order. At this point, you're considering the final form of the bylaw. So you're in essence saying we're not prepared to move forward with it. So you've advertised that you are going to consider it. If you're not going to consider it, then it's really at this point a defeating of the motion and a restart.
We might have made a mistake on our last meeting. I think that was the problem. We have clarified that since. Councillor Thompson. Want to speak last? Okay. Councillor Debbie Woden.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I've been in support of this bylaw since it has been brought to council. I listened to Cindy that night explain what this bylaw would do for her, for Deans, and for our county, and I certainly support what they're trying to do. This levy, and it's not uncommon in many other places, and it is well used. It's one of the things that was brought to me was that the biggest thing we hear advertised for Nova Scotia is Peggy's Cove, and there's a lot more to Nova Scotia than Peggy's Cove. This will give them the opportunity that when people come to Pictou County, they'll be coming to Pictou County to see Pictou County sites, and I think that's really important. That kind of money, the $300,000 that they're proposing right now, would not come from councils. We can't afford that kind of money, but this is an opportunity to have the people that are coming to the area pay for what they want to come and see, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because if people are interested in coming to your area, they are going to want to see the sites, and they're coming here for a reason. So for that reason, I think it's a great opportunity for us to put Pictou County a little further ahead on the map. She explained that night, we just had the over 55 games, huge success they were, and what it brought to our county. We have the curling bonspiel going on this weekend at the Wellness Center, and again, it's bringing people from across the country to Pictou County. This is another tool to encourage people to come to Pictou County, and for that reason, I couldn't not support this motion. Just a quick question, Brian. It was mentioned that this could go up 3 or 4, 5, 6%, and we'd have no control over that. But as long as it's our bylaw, would council not have the authority to approve that type of a raise or not?
Yeah, the amount can't change unless the
Exactly.
bylaw is amended.
Okay.
That's the only mechanism. The bylaw establishes it at 3%.
Yes.
And that's, you'd have to amend the bylaw
Okay.
to change that rate.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wadden. Any further councillors? Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I'm going to speak on favor of this bylaw. There's been a couple of particular areas raised. One is on setting precedent. I understand the argument for that, but if there is any other organization comes to this body and asks for taxation privileges, they should be based on, the judgment should be based on the merit of that question. Okay, it should just not simply be just that precedent's been set and that we follow that. If there's another organization comes here, it should be judged solely on its merits. If they deserve taxation and their argument is just and good, then it should be considered. If they don't, then it shouldn't be considered. So I don't see that logic in that argument about precedent. In terms of accountability, if just reading from the bylaw, every operator shall keep books of accounts, records, and documents sufficient to furnish the municipality with the necessary particulars of sales of accommodation, amount of the levy collected, disposal of the levy. All entries concerning the levy in such books of account, records, and documents shall be separate and distinguishable from other entries made therein. So there's a whole series of things in this bylaw that looks after the accountability question. I know that there's some questions around the table whether it's fulsome or not, but as far as I'm concerned, we should move forward on this because there's enough here to protect the county. Like the CAO says, we can't change it from 3 to 4 just arbitrarily. It has to come back to council, and those decisions have to be made at council level. Last thing will say is that I will continue to say this, is that it's an investment in our county. This money is going to be taken and spent to market the county. That is the primary purpose of this levy. And so it will be used for investment. And I don't think we should fearmonger that, that this is a bad thing. We should look at it and judge it on its merits. And the biggest primary reason that I am supporting it is because I look at it as an investment in the county to attract people to spend their money at our restaurants, at our hotels. So that's my argument for supporting this bylaw.
Thank you, Councilor Turner. Anybody else want to speak that didn't already speak? Mary's wanting a second go, so we'll give you one chance, sir, Mary.
I just have two comments. The tourism industry is usually looked after by the province, and the municipalities shouldn't be in the business of collecting levy for a sector of the tourism industry. That's not us.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to speak in favor of the resolution. I'm a little puzzled by the whole notion about accountability. Dean's is an organization. It's changed its name over the years, but we've been supplying this organization grant money to help them operate for the past 25, 30 years, I'm sure. This council has been providing an operating grant for Dean's. Nobody's ever been concerned about how that money's been spent before. I've been here since 2008, and I haven't heard one person say that we should check out Dean's books and make sure they're doing their utmost for this. And as an organization, Dean's would have financial statements, audited statements every year as well, because they handle a lot of money. They have staff. They have expenditures. So the whole accountability thing, it's already built into the organizations that we have as societies in our province. So I don't buy that. And just around our council table, this is some of the things we've talked about in the past 3 or 4 months. We talked about signage on highways, and we were looking for help from Dean's. We were talking about tourism bureaus in our county, and we've all know that the province is not doing that anymore. If this is an activity that we want in our county, we have to find a way to fund it. And special events, like we talk about the curling at the Wellness Center this week. That's going to draw. There's people from all over Canada in there. If you go in this week, if you're able to get in to catch a game, you'll see people from every part of Canada in there, and they're spending their money in Pictou County. Okay, so and we saw another item here. We have a shadow box or whatever they're called with the medals from the 55+ games. Dean's played an integral part not only in this event, but in the first event they held in 2015. It was Dean's and Cindy's group that created the manual, the how-to manual for the 55+ games to prosper around Nova Scotia. It was her foresight. So these are, and we need more of those activities in our county. If we're going to survive as a county, we need to grow our tourism sector. Businesses already collect taxes. Every day they collect taxes through the HST. They're tax collectors. This is a 3% tax that is every other municipal unit in eastern Nova Scotia is either in the process of doing this or they have already done it. And I don't think Pictou County should be the Cayman Islands of the tourism sector. I don't think we should sit this one out and become some kind of tax haven for somebody that doesn't want to pay 3% to visit our beautiful county. So I support this. I have total faith in Dean's that they're going to spend the money wisely and in the best interest of our county to move it forward.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson, and Councillor Thompson moved the motion, so he's the last one to speak, so I'll call for the vote. Everyone in favor, say, put their hand up. Against? Motion carried? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Resolution, be it resolved that Richard Williams and Ian McKay be appointed to the Municipality of the County of Picto's Climate Change Advisory Committee for 2 years ending on March 2025. Dated Pictou, Nova Scotia, the 6th day of November 2023, by myself, Peter Boyles, and seconded by Chester Dorr.
So seconded. Okay, thank you. And we have a motion, moved and seconded. I noticed in 2 years in March 2025. So that's less than a year and a half, isn't it? That's March 2024, but that, it's not set on 2 years and it's set for date. Okay. So it is a little confusing. I did the vote on that one, didn't I? Yeah, okay, the sale of municipal vehicles. Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Warden. Resolution, whereas the municipality of County Pictou issued the tender for sale of 3 municipal-owned vehicles in June 2023. Whereas in accordance with the municipal council's approval, the 2014 Dodge Ram 2500 was sold to the highest bidder. However, attempts to finalize the sales of the remaining two vehicles were unsuccessful. Whereas the awarded bidder, 2009 Chev 1500, no longer wishes to purchase the vehicle, and the MOPC staff received no response for the award bidder for the 2014 Ford F-150. Therefore, be resolved by the Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County Pictou, authorize the sale of the remaining 2 municipal-owned vehicles to the next highest bidders, respectively, until the vehicles are sold. Dated Pictou, Nova Scotia, the 6th day of November 2023, moved by myself, Councillor Randy Palmer, and seconded by Councillor Dave Parker.
So seconded.
Okay, so you've heard the reading of the resolution to do with the sale of some of our older vehicles and some that weren't picked up, so they're moving down to the next bidder. And it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on that resolution? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. And the last one is intermunicipal agreement for the Pictou County Partnership. And Mr. Cullen, you're going to take that one?
Can't make the motion, but I'll explain it.
No, explain the background behind it.
So the background behind this, as the memo said, it's basically a change to the intermunicipal agreement that establishes the Pictou County Partnership. The agreement, the original agreement was worded that the core funding that would be received from the municipalities and the core funding that would be received from the province of Nova Scotia would be equal. So it would be a 50-50 cost share. This year, the REN did request a increase from the various parties. All the municipalities did agree to 50%. increase over.
50% increase.
Over last year. That request was made, I think, to the province as well, but the province turnaround time doesn't necessarily match up with the municipality. So in essence, the REN is operating outside of its agreement because the municipalities are providing more funding than the province. So this amendment basically says that the municipalities will establish their budget and then they will negotiate with the province for the remainder of the core funding type thing. So it's what the agreement does. In essence, as the memo says, it could lead to a situation where the municipalities do contribute more to core funding than the province in any given year. I guess the trade-off to that is that the province do provide program funding to the REN that they do not necessarily look to the municipalities to cost share on, I guess is the other way to look at it. So it's just an amendment that allows, probably brings the funding mechanism more in line. And the province, I'm not involved in the REN, but their agreement, is it a 1 year now or a 5 year? I'm not sure that
Ours
even
is
matches.
a 5-year commitment from the municipality.
Yeah, and the province doesn't offer that same 5-year commitment
No.
type thing. So
So we need a motion here to basically agree to the new agreement. Is that what we're talking
Yes.
about? And as long as everybody understands the new agreement, wouldn't necessarily match that any extra funding we gave, the province would give. That didn't happen this year. All the municipalities agreed to give 50% more. The request was for double, but they gave 50% more. But the province dragged its feet and they claim they're going to be there next year with that matching money. But this is to allow us to operate legally, I guess, because we're not right now. If we put in our share, but they didn't, and they're a more senior form of government than us. There's no way for us to make them put that amount in. They do claim, as Brian said, that they are putting in other monies in other ways that we're not matching neither. So I guess we could go on with that forever, but to be legal, we need a motion that says it's okay under the new agreement that we don't each put matching amounts in. So somebody willing to make that motion, I guess.
I will.
Go ahead then, Councillor McKeel.
I make a motion that we pass the, make a motion that we pass this agreement this evening, enabling us to be in the proper, I don't know what word to use here, legal arrangement within the REN and between us and the province of Nova Scotia for operating provisions.
Okay, would somebody want to second that motion? Go ahead, Councillor, or thank you, Councillor Elliott, not go ahead, you already did it. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder to change the agreement with the province on the funding of our partnership, or REN as it used to be called. Any question on that? Go ahead, Councillor Dave Parker.
I have concern with passing a motion that says it's all right if you don't contribute your share. We negotiated an agreement among is it 7 parties, counting the Pictou Land First Nation?
Yep.
That we would contribute more this year. And previously, the provincial government had matched us. Now the term you used was they dragged their feet. Well, that means they didn't contribute their share. I'm not going to vote against the motion, but again, we're setting a pretty dangerous precedent here, saying, "Oh yeah, you can just we'll give our amount. You just do whatever you want."
They claim it's for 1 year. They're going to catch it up next year, so we'll wait and see what happens. Right now, we have to get legal in order for them to continue to operate. So, okay, if there's no further questions on that motion, all those in favor? Against? I'm sorry for it being sort of so confusing that there wasn't something more clear, but that was the best we could do to sort of tell you roughly what's going on anyway. Okay, so now we're down to Digital Ubiquity, who are the people that are giving us our internet advice, and we need an update on how we're doing, and we are doing pretty good, I think, but it's not everywhere, and we're not going to get it everywhere all at once. But these folks are going to give us a picture of where it is and what the holdups are, if any, and what the future looks like. So I want to invite Mike Richard and Marc Andre to our meeting, and going to let us know just where we're going, and we'll end up with a temporary borrowing resolution there at the end from the deputy warden, but we'll let these folks present. Yep, it's all yours. Yeah, you need some help. This is Mike Richard sitting down now, and then Marc Andre is coming up to assist him.
Who is his last name?
Oh, sorry, Mark's last name is Nadeau. We were adopting you into the Andre family, but Nadeau, sorry about that. Yeah, just call me Mark.
So, thank you for having us this evening. I'm Mike Richard with Digital Ubiquity Capital. I've been managing your broadband project now. It's been a couple of years. So we're going to go through some success of the project and bring you up to speed where we're at as of this moment. Where Andre is going to address the financial stuff, which I would not be qualified to do. So, just give oh my. I was hoping I'd be able to speak to some of the words on that, but I can't see that from here. So we're going to go through just some of the milestones where we're at on the project. Today, I can't read that this far away. What's that? Yeah, that might be helpful, because I was going to use that to cue me as a little bit too. Thank you. So we are building a wireless infrastructure, fixed wireless, fiber to the home, and to create a broadband network, which connects to the World Wide Web, which we're meeting in all of our peers are in Halifax. So the network's been built. As of Friday, the statistics are 18% adoption rate, which is a couple of points now above where we thought we'd be at this moment. We were heading higher, and Andre can speak to that, where we need to be, but 138 fiber to the home customers, 131 wireless customers as of Friday. The first all fiber subscribers revenue right now is $73.20 a month, and this is on the fiber side. So the way the network is built, it's open access. We don't sell to the end users on fiber. We're selling to the 3 ISPs on the network. There's 4 a recent entry, but we have NCS, Purple Cow, and TNC, which are almost a third in terms of subscribers. And we just took on North Nova as well as a reseller. So they're really our customers, and your customers of the network, and the subscribers are their customers. The wireless network has been built to as a direct relationship between the wireless utility and the customer. And the current revenue is $61.28 monthly there with 131. I'll show you the towers in a moment that are live with active customers. Currently to date on the fiber side, 124,000 meters of strand has been installed throughout many parts of the county. Strand is what allows us to attach the cables to. There's been 102,000 meters of actual fiber cable installed as of showed you some of the electronics that are being deployed into the network now. The pole mount remote cabinet for Tony River is being finalized now in the county. It's arrived. The River John pad mount, which is a very large cabinet, it's going to sit at the SO station at River John. The land's released there for that. That is also in the county now, and it'll be installed over the next couple of weeks. So you'll see some activity out there. These two cabinets will service close to 1,000 people, 1,000 subscribers. There's 20 some of these remote cabinets total for the network, so these are the first two. On the wireless side, there's a total of 17 towers that have been equipped throughout the county. 9 of them are new construction put up by the county. 8 of them are co-location towers, towers that are owned by the Bell. Do we have any on Rogers? No. TIR and the State Tower. The towers that are active for subscribers today are listed there. There are 13 of them. Behind the building here, John, the co-location Burger Hill Tower, Green Hill, that's the Bell Tower as well. Tom, Stingray, the Commons is TIR. Eureka, we built that. Farm out there, Bales Works, the one you're seeing in the picture, which is we lease Crown land for that one, and that is completely 100% off-grid. So if you go up there, you'll see there's about over a kilometer with no power poles. So it's much cheaper to do an off-grid system than pay for all poles. Willowdale is TIR. Eden Lake is built by MOPC. Sunnybray is TIR. East River, we built, and Maple is TIR. So it's quite a mix. Major accomplishments to speak to. I would say, starting with peering, we have successfully peered with highly redundant equipment in Halifax at the Internet Exchange building there. That's where we meet those internet service providers that are on the network, and that's where the wireless network, everything is home back to there and is fed into the internet through the upstream peers in Halifax. That's a very significant accomplishment. Retail service providers, obviously we're being very successful there with now 4. There's actually 2 more that we're speaking to county representatives that are interested in the project. One of them is an incumbent carrier. In other words, it's a national brand. And we're getting to the point now where we're wondering if we have too many, to be honest, because they all have to make money. Right now, we have to make sure they have enough homes passed that they can all get a good share of the pie and profit. Another big accomplishment is 100 gateways. Those are our egress circuits, or circuits that take the county's network and take it to a useful market, which is the worldwide internet. That's our egress circuits that take us to Halifax. Currently, we're on 1 Eastlink wave out of the county, which is very unstable. It collapses constantly. So these waves have been from Rogers, have been planning now for over 2 years. That finally, the equipment's been delivered. They actually decided to use part of the MOPC network to the last mile into this building and to the town of Glasgow. It's easier to use our network to get to us than to build their own. So that's what happened to move this along. This will provide 100% geodiversity outside of the county. These are 100% geodiverse roads. The network diversity now is, once the Rogers waves are in and the rest of our equipment is configured, will be considered 100% carrier grade service class. I would say our funding partners is a major accomplishment. This is received, as you all know, national attention with respect to, I think we're around 43 million, Brian, with funding. With phase 1 was around 4.5 million, which was the recently this year signed off on the UV ISID grant, 29 million, and the provincial grant, the DNS at 10.1 million. And last but not least is the dedicated staff that are now working on the project. We have our architect, it's kind of on loan to us, I would say, from Glasgow, Derek. Our manager, Scott, our inventory and logistics person, Ian, and our director of business operations, Rihanna. So we now have a very functional, dedicated staff. I'm not going to go into this, very busy, just want folks to appreciate the amount of technology that's gone into the network. It's been built as a carrier class, high availability network to sustain outages at multiple sites and for the network to still stay on. Currently our project goals, and I'm almost done this part, we're aiming to hit north of 9,000 homes passed by 2026, fiber. We're aiming to be 90% coverage with a combination of fiber and wireless for the county. And the infill with the wireless in phase 2 is still on the books because we can't do everything with wireless, so there's still more towers to go. And we're hoping that as well, that the network, the way it's built, will attract cellular providers to enhance their cellular coverage in the county. As recently as last week, we learned that the province has set aside $43 million for enhancing rural cellular coverage. Victor County is very, very well positioned to take advantage of partnering with another cellular company to take advantage of that. We have towers, we have backhaul. It's an open access network. All providers are able to use the network. So hoping that that will come. And that was the end of my quick success.
Okay, maybe we'll break it up and ask for, if there's questions for Mike, and then go to Mark here. I'm going to ask one right off the bat, and it has to do with cell service. Because when we started this whole project 7 years ago, there was two things we were looking at that we told people we were going to try to improve. And one was the high-speed internet, and it appears from what you're showing us, we're well on the way to doing that. Not all going to happen at once, but we're on the way. But cell service has been another question, and all along, I've been answering questions to the tune that, yes, when our towers are built, then the cell companies can use our towers, which is what you were talking about at the end, but whether they would or not was a question mark. So the new program put out by the provincial government that says, first we're going to use all the available not technology, but infrastructure that we have out there. Then we're going to start putting money into new infrastructure. So are there incentives for cell service companies to use our towers? I mean, we obviously, like, they charge us if we're on Bell Towers or whoever, so we rent our space. So how's that happen, with the government saying that any existing infrastructure, is there a pattern for that to follow, or?
I think the way I would look at it is the county has built critical infrastructure that can support a cellular carrier, both with vertical real estate, towers, and also with the fiber backhaul, which is essential, especially for 5G and higher technology. They need fiber backhaul. So, plus it's open access, that is to say, any carrier can use it. So the county's very well suited to spend that money with 3x leverage because of the fact that you already have the infrastructure. Why would you go overbuild that? Is the point. So to me, it's a perfect opportunity for them to spend their money wisely and quickly and get. If they went to another county that didn't have it, they're going to spend twice the money for half the coverage. If you come to this county, they're going to spend half the money for 3 times the coverage. It's quite easy math, as long as we can get the bureaucrats to think strategically about the critical infrastructure that's been built.
Yeah, and not say we're going to put up a new tower right beside MOPC's tower because somebody else doesn't want to use it.
So they can co-locate on some very
It is still a big concern, and Councillor Dewar's brought it up many times, out in the woods, you know, if you're traveling through the Muscatava or whatever, that if your car breaks down, you're done. You're not gonna get a hold of anybody on a cell phone, so. And that's not the only area, there's many areas across our county that's almost become as bigger concern than the internet, because they know the internet's coming. You have to wait for a while, but they know it's coming. But with the cell service, until this government announcement the other day, there was no sign that anything was being done. Okay, we'll open it up for questions for Mike. Go ahead, Councillor Dave Harder.
Not a question. I would really like the warden to put his mic in front of him, turn it on, and talk into it. Because with that mask on, you're hard to hear. Thank you.
Advice taken. Okay, any questions for Mike? Go ahead, Councillor Butler.
Yes, Mr. Warden. My question is in regards to this $43 million that was just announced by the province. Does the fact that we received $20 million previously, maybe for a different purpose, but for our internet project, does that diminish the interest of the province in putting more money into Pictou County?
Should we get 10, was it? What did we get from the balance, 10?
First of all, the funding won't come to the county necessarily, it's going to go to an incumbent cellular company. It's going to go to Rogers, it's going to go to Eastlink, it's going to go to Bell. So that the idea here is we need to partner with the cellular company to attract them to come here, buy backhaul, buy fiber, buy local co-location. And this is not without precedent. The Valley Community Fiber Network down the valley, VCFN, over half of the fiber in that sheath is leased by Rogers to do backhaul to their towers in the island. So it's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
And my second question was in regards to the towers. You shared with us that we're making great progress in that regards. When do you think that all of the towers will be fully operational?
Prior before the end of the year.
So that's all of the towers.
All 17 towers will be fully operational by before the end of the year.
Did you mention we were gonna be building some more? I better get something. So those ones aren't gonna be operational. The ones that are, all 17 that you're started on will be operational by the end of the year.
Correct.
And how many more new ones are we planning on building, or do we have money to build?
There will be upwards of 6
More.
minimum.
And have those locations been determined, or?
Zones of them have been, and I really can't remember where they all are right now.
No, that's all right. I wasn't aware, I guess, or didn't remember that there was more to go. Okay.
I'll give you an example. Big Island was originally slated for fiber. If the business case doesn't make sense, wireless makes perfect sense. So there'll be a tower in the mainland up in that area to serve Big Island, for example.
Okay.
Greater Island as well will probably be in a similar boat.
Okay, I'll open it up. Any more questions for Mike on any of the progress that's being made, whether it's on wireless or on the fiber? Go ahead, Councillor Dave Harder.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. My interest is in timelines. Recognizing that we had a pandemic in the middle of this and ongoing supply chain issues partly caused by that. When are we, maybe not idealistically, but realistically, how much longer is it going to take to string all the fiber?
Right now, it's a great question. Right now, the largest encumbrance to our timeline is Nova Scotia Power to make ready process the permitting. In my years of doing this, I've never seen anything move this slow. At the rate we're going, we'll be to 2027 before we're complete, in my estimation. The ISED grant has us end of December 2025. There's no way we'll make that. We'll be asking for an extension.
Go ahead.
As a follow-up to that, is there anything we can do as a council to cause Nova Scotia Power to improve their performance on this matter?
We've tried, we've had many meetings with the sea level. It won't move on the CRTC's newest ruling on what's called one-touch make-ready, which just means we can do the make-ready with qualified staff, but the CRTC has no regulation on power bills, and they've made that abundantly clear to us, which we already knew, so there's no forcing function there. They've refused us to do our own make-ready work, which is done in many other provinces. So that's, there is an issue with the local TIR, is it TIR or Public Works? There's a slight issue there perhaps we could get help with. They're very slow to move on permits. We have to get a permit to change a pole out, believe it or not, the same pole. We have to get permits to put anchors in the provincial right-of-ways. Pictou County is notoriously slow compared to other counties. So we could use some help there. That would speed up Nova Scotia Power. It took us 9 months to get a driveway permit for our tower on Hardwood Hills. Same permit was submitted 3 times, nothing changed. So it is a challenge.
I sense your frustration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That last one you mentioned was from Department of Public Works, not from Nova Scotia Power up on Hardwood Hill. But we have met with the department, get close to this thing. We have met with the department, or with the Power Commission several times, and you and Matt, I think Mike, were with us. And it seems to improve some after we have the meeting with them, but it only lasts about a month or a month and a half. And then we slowed down again. So I thought we were doing pretty good, but it sounds like now we're running out of road room again, like you said. So they said they wouldn't let you fellows do the work. They want to do it themselves. But yet they're aggravatingly slowing us down. And yet they promised us that, no, they're moving extra people in here. Are those extra people still here? There was extra staff.
We still have a dedicated pod for make-ready construction. Detailing has been slow. They have one detailer. That's been painfully slow. They did catch up for a while, and now we've caught up to them. So we can move faster than they can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always going to be this cat and mouse game with them. We just keep the pressure on. That's all we can do. They know we're keeping the pressure on. We keep very accurate records on what they're doing. So they know we're watching them close. I don't know what else we can do other than to keep the pressure on.
At some point, you're going to have to stop because you haven't got any more approvals.
We'll run out of construction approvals by mid-January. We'll be done.
Terrible. Any more questions for Mike? Okay, let's move on to Mark, and he'll talk dollars and cents. What's that?
One question. Is there a chance I can get a copy of these presentations? Because I cannot see anything on the screen. It's really frustrating. If you can email it to me now so I can follow along, because the last one, I was just pulling my hair out trying to follow along.
Okay, I don't know if that's possible or not. Can you email that to councilors? Adam, do you know? Pardon me?
Is that screen working?
No.
Yeah, it is hard to see and therefore hard to follow, so if we're able to, you might as well start, Mark, and if Adam can get it, so he can send it to us, all the better. Pardon me? Yeah. Okay, but then we'll move ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
So thank you very much for welcoming us tonight. It's a pleasure to be with you and answer your questions. So in addition to the 2 years and a half of work on the deployment between Brian and his team and Mike and our team, we try to answer the question, does it make sense at midterm of the deployment? This set three main objectives of the project, and we tried to cover them. Where are we in terms of those, sorry, objectives? The first one is, one of the main objectives was to bridge digital divide between the Pictou County resident and the Canadian urban centers. There was a lot of complaint initially. Can we solve that digital divide? The second one, can we create an open and neutral infrastructure that will increase competition and bring the cost down for the cities? And the third main objective of the project was, can we develop an infrastructure that will create value for the community, for the county, for the taxpayers? So we tried to cover those three main objectives and see at midterm of deployment where we are in terms of financial result and forecasted result. So sorry for that if it's small, but we will have a copy of that. So as Mike mentioned, the first question, can we bridge the digital divide and connect people finally? So we will connect 100% of the homes on the rural territory of the county by 25-26, and we will reach 12,700 addresses, and we will connect 90% of all the county. So the first question, can we connect people? The answer is yes. People will be connected. 90% of the people in the country will be connected. What's the take-up we expect? So the target is to sell services to 50% of the citizens. 50% of them will probably decide to go with the incumbents and the other internet service providers, but we expect based on the surveys and the studies that 50% of the citizens will connect to that network because they own it and they will get cheaper prices. For the commercial and industrial market, we expect that the target will be more or less around 15%. One business on 6, one business on 7 will be connected to that network, and for public building, we target 17% take-up. So not everybody will come and buy services on this network, but the vast majority will. Next slide, please. So, as we indicated, 90% of all the territory of Pictou will be connected. Why not 100%? Because the last 10% would cost a fortune and will not be viable to invest public money to connect those people. So we still have it. Across Canada, we see that there was probably 1, 2, 3% of the territory that has to be connected by satellite. Makes no sense with other technology. It's expensive, but that's the only one that would be viable. So 90% of the territory will be connected, which is a great accomplishment. Next slide, please. So if we look at the price, the second objective was, can we increase the competition and reduce the connectivity cost for the citizen? We look at different packages, 25.5, download, upload, 50.10. The goal of the CRTC in Canada is to connect everyone by 2030 with the speed of 50.10. So that's the national goal by 2030. 100 megabytes per second, 301 gig. So if you have the first column, you see MOPC ISPs, you have Purple Cow and CS and Pictou, obviously. So if you look at the first package, 25.5, the cost of the service providers here is $49.99. If you look at the competition, they are mostly around $62, $65. In some cases, $66. So in that range, is that package, this project brings the cost down to the taxpayers, to the citizen. And you will see the second slide, it's pretty impressive. For the 5010, sorry, no, yeah. For the 5010, the package here is offered at 75, the competition at 73 to 76. So again, we are in the market. 100, 301 gig, you see Bell, mostly Bell and Eastling, they are between 105, 110, compared to 55 to $99. So if you look at the different packages, this project was able to bring competition to the taxpayers to save money in almost all packages. And we will see the stats on the next slide. So for that second goal, without this project, the price would be significantly higher than they are actually. Next slide, please. So I will just compare P2, the Canadian average, for the main tree package that people buy actually. For the 25.5, as we said, package that the ISP here in the county offers is $49.99. The lowest average reported price of internet for the rural market in Nova Scotia last year was $70. And it was for 2022, and for 2021, it was an impressive $120. So before this project, led by the county, people who wanted to buy that package had to pay an astronomical $120 to get that 25 fiber package. That was the most expensive package in the rural area in Canada for that package. So we can clearly understand why people were so pissed and said they were paying too much, because they were right. They had the most expensive package in Canada for the rural market. At $49.99, it's a significant reduction for them, and that 28% reduction in rates for that package benefit the lowest median income population of Quebec. So if there was a target to serve and reduce the cost, it was for that market, and the network achieved that important milestone. The other market is, we are at 5010 and 100 megs. So for the 5010, the actual subscribers in the county on the network offer their price at $74.99. The lowest actually in the rural county in Nova Scotia is 71, the Canadian average 74, so we're mostly in the benchmark. For the 100 megabytes, and because of the data we need, because of the video, audio, etc., the package that is more and more popular across Canada is clearly 100 megabytes per second. The ISPs on the current network bid to offer their package at 55 to 60, when in 2022 the lowest average reported price of internet in the rural market in Nova Scotia was $87. So one of the most popular package in the market, actually, again, it took it directly on the nail, reduced significantly by 37% the cost of the network for those customers. So in conclusion, we can say that, we can always state that the impact of the network deployed by MOPC will enable the majority of the county's residents to significantly reduce the cost of their connectivity. One of the projects we offers a network connection, and it's based on the service. So now if we look at the business case, the financial business case, does it make sense to create value? Does it make sense to invest all that money for the taxpayers in the council? So we do financial modeling of those projects, we deploy them on the ground, but for sure we build a business case to make sure it makes sense, etc. All that information is shared with ISET, etc., to make sure that the project is viable. So when you look at the expected revenue of the project, we are more or less this year 70,000. It's just the first year of operation, but we expect a normal rate that the revenue will reach probably 9, 10, 11 million by 2030, 2032. So it's a significant contribution to the economy. The vast majority, one of the major market segments of that revenue will come from the residential market by close to 40-50%. The commercial will represent more or less 20%, and the rest will be specific services to incumbents, etc., and partners like the province. So a significant investment that should reach at this normal speed close to 10 million in revenue. Regarding now the income statement, will we make money or not? We expect that the money, the project will lose money for now 2026, and should reach the break-even in 2026 in mid-year. And if you look at the net margin now on once the network is deployed starting in 26, 27, and the following year, the sector actually in Canada, telecom industry, the net margin varies between 12 and 27%. We expect that this project here should reach close to 30 to 35% in net margin. Why? Because if you look at this sales and marketing cost for Bell of this world, it costs 20 to 25% of the revenue. Here, we don't have to do the marketing to the end user. We sell to ISPs, we sell to service providers, and save again on that. We don't have to build buildings to host equipment, etc. So for those reasons, if the sector across Canada for telecom providers is between 12 and 27, we think that a 30 to 35% in net margin is realistic for people. So on the balance sheet and financing, one of the major accomplishments, and we've talked of that night before, 45 million in grants close to. So that's the first, let's say, after months of interaction with the expert, Ottawa, that's the first accomplishment that have to be highlighted. It's a major accomplishment. You don't get 40 million from the federal if the project doesn't make sense, including on the financial side. Now, regarding for the rest of the deployment, we expect that, including the line of credit, actually, to the end of deployment, the total debt that this project will require to finance the construction and the initial operation will be 60 million. And the way we see the debt through the years is this year, 23-24, we expect that 35 million debt should be raised in two chunks, one now and one next summer. In 2024-2025, another 15, followed by 5 million and 5 million. With that 60 million of grants, we expect that we can pay for the rest of the deployment, for the initial working capital, the time for the project to reach the break-even. Obviously, we will work hard on the commercialization. We need to reach that level of revenue. We need to control the costs. And we already have a detailed plan with Brian, with the CEO, to control the costs, to be really aggressive on the commercialization side and reach those forecasts. So we are pretty confident that with that 60 million split over the next 4 years, we will be able to deploy the network and make it viable. The initial business case that was presented in 2019, the level of debt was, I think, was 61, 62 million. So we are aligned with what was presented years ago. Now, in terms of cash flow, if you raise that debt in 2023, 2024 to 2026, 7 means that you're going to have to pay for 20 years for that. So for sure, for the next 20 years, all the cash flow of the project will be used to repay that debt. Once that debt has been repaid, we expect that the net cash flow of the project would be between 5 and 7 million per year. It's not different. I would compare that to 100 years ago when the cities and the counties had decided to invest dams on the rivers of their territory. They paid the debt for a certain number of years, and now those investments represent a huge contribution to the community and makes a big difference in that annual project. Same thing here. They too will have to pay the debt for 20 years, but after that, the net contribution as an economic development tool will be significant for the community. Last slide. So, what's the potential value of that asset? So, what we did is we went through the financial business case with expert in financial model. One of them is Model.com. Model.com is one of the best firms in the world in modeling telecom projects. So we sat with them, we presented the forecast, we benchmarked that with their expertise, and we looked at the assumptions if an incumbent eventually would like to buy that asset from the country. What could be the potential value? So the blue line you see going from lower left to the upper right is the market value of the network throughout the different years. So why do we see that, and we have the detailed assumptions behind that we can share with you tomorrow. So once we have completed the deployment, in 10 years following the full deployment, full operation, we think that this network could rupture the value of probably minimum 80 to 100 million with conservative assumption. So with target of 100 million makes a lot of sense. And more specifically, what we see actually in the market when we look at the incumbents, what they have paid across Canada to buy networks like this, for different reasons. The multiple of the EBITDA depreciation and debt is 22 counties. So it means that if you look at the actual market condition tomorrow, once the network is deployed, Rogers of this law come here and say, I would like to buy the network, it's going to be probably more around 120 million at the market condition once it's deployed. So to answer the third question, can we develop an infrastructure that will create value for the community? Again, I will compare that to the cities and counties who 100 years ago had the vision to invest on dams on their river instead of sending that to the first company. Now they have that investment that create that cash and constant cash flow and that important values in community. Same thing here. With that investment paid in part by public money, federal, provincial, the county of Pictou is investing in a massive network that would represent a huge investment for the community for the next generation. So it belongs to you, council, to decide what you want to do with that. But for sure, to deploy the network, bring it to full functionality should be a main goal, the main objective, and make it a success. At any moment, for a reason that belongs to you, want to sell it, certainly you will recover your costs, probably a lot more. Or you could give that to the next generation. Belongs to you to decide. But financially, can we create value for the community? Can we reach that third goal? Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for all those numbers. We'll see if we can turn them around their head, but you are going to, or Adam's going to send it to us eventually so we can have a little more time to read through it thoughtfully. It is good news to hear that we're on track, financially, that down the road somewhere, if a future council decided to want it out of the business or whatever, that there's going to be good value there. And as much as some of that's been contributed by provincial and federal governments, a lot of that, as we pay it off over 20 years, is coming from the people of the county to pay for the service that they're going to pay somebody for. This way, it's adding to the value for the county. So that's all the more reason that we need to use in our advertising campaign. I think that by joining with the county internet system, you are helping to build value in our community, which is great to hear. So I want to open up for questions. Anybody have any questions for Mark at this point? Go ahead, Don.
Yes, Mr. Warden. First of all, a question. What is the total cost of this project?
95 million.
Okay, 95. I used to hear figures like 71 or 54. And at any rate, I wonder how we got up that far.
It's 95 less the grants that are close to 45, so the net cost will come in the 80s.
So we're receiving grants from the provincial and federal government in the amount of $50-some million.
45, close to 45.
So it's going to take us 20 years to pay off the difference. Is that correct?
Exactly. So what the community has to pay is the total cost net of grants, 50 plus the working capital, the money you will need before you reach the break-even. It will take 3 to 4 years before you reach the break-even. So you have to add the deployment plus the capital cost, approximately 5 to 6 million in deficit before you reach the break-even. So the total cost of capital.
Okay, so I'd like to come back to this 95 million. We were told, and I haven't got this accurately, but at one point it was projected the cost was going to be 71 or 72, but then suddenly we were down to 54 or 53, and now we're up to 95. Can someone help me clarify my thinking or my figures?
If my memory is good, in 2019, I think the initial cost of the project was 70 or 71, you're right. When those discussions started with ICE, they said, okay, we will give you money to connect doors, but we will ask you to connect doors that were not included in the initial business case. If we give you money, so it's like they give you money on one side, but there are some requirements that come on the other side that increase the cost of the project. Same thing with the areas. So they give you 45, but the net, that 45 comes with constraints that will cost you probably 25 on the top of what we
Yeah, it did require, I know, Councillor Butler, a lot of changes when the federal money came, the 40 million or whatever we thought we had. It was, all of a sudden, the path they had all figured out wouldn't work anymore. They had to go on roads where there was nobody serving them now. So they had to redraw the whole thing. When they went up 376, it didn't matter. There was East Link and different other ones there. But when the federal money kicked in, they had to change their whole drawings and everything and where they were going and where they could go. I know they couldn't go up the Alma Highway, but they could go into Loch Broom. Didn't seem to make any sense, but that's in order to go. People were critical of us almost for going to highways that were already had somebody on them. And so the federal government said, no, you have to go to all the roads first to have no service from any company. And then go back, if you have some money left, go back and do the others then. Go ahead, yeah.
The other thing to look at is that we had started the project. So we were doing phase 1 in the wireless, which is roughly around 20 million. So when ISA came in with their grant, it was based on a proposal that had been submitted 2 years before. So the 53,000 or 53 million or 70, I guess it was 70, around 70 million. The proposal that had been submitted to ISA was for a $55 million project. We had already done 20 million of that. So it really restarted kind of a new project, right? Because part of what had been submitted to them was already under construction. So, and then they added in areas underserved, remote type things, which did change kind of the project and redesign. The project was basically completely redesigned again to meet their objectives of serving. In essence, their numbers are we're serving 4,700 homes for the 30 million or 29,900,000 is what it really is. We're actually passing a lot more homes than that to get to those 4,600, but they won't pay for whatever the number there was. We're passing 9,000 homes. They don't pay for 4,500 of those drops under the terms of their contract. So.
And the third factor that we see across Canada, the US, not only in P2, when you have 20 billion actually invested in Canada, close to 200 billion in the US, it puts a lot of pressure on resources in the telecom this world, in fiber, etc. The cost actually to deploy connect the world is crazy expensive, and we couldn't COVID didn't help either. So it was difficult to estimate at that time the impact of that, as we indicated, that shortage of supply chain pressure related to COVID, etc. So at the end, P2 will end up with a total cost of 95 less the grants. So you would be a lot lower than expected net of grants, but and you will have been able to go through those challenges of the market that any other region in Canada they will have to pay for that. You got grants to cover that. So at the end, you will have what you wanted and even more, for not much more than what you expected. You're one of the best in Canada to do that, because all the other regions had to pay, didn't get the grants, they had to pay for that shortage in resources, astronomy cost, didn't get the grants, so they had to deploy those networks. Even though the market conditions were terrible, they had to pay for it. Here, I would say you are among the best in Canada to keep the cost down for the taxpayers, the way you did.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Turner next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. It's very informative. If you did a SWOT analysis on this whole plan, what would you consider the biggest threat to this network? Would you consider new technologies such as SpaceX a threat? What particular things would you consider a threat? And I guess out of a SWOT analysis, what do you think would be the biggest opportunities around this network? A threat first, I'd be interested in that.
So that based on what we see in the US, it will cover probably 1 to 3% of the market for different reasons, maybe 5. But you still have the challenge for only 5% of the growth. So I will not see the site as the most important threat I would see. It's not a threat, but a challenge is commercialization. How do we make this network viable? Depends on the top line, the revenue. It's why we have a very detailed strategy with the CEO to build that commercialization plan. What are the needs? How can we serve the clients? How can we charge the fair price for that? Not just applying the residential market, but the commercial, the government, the strategic partners, the economists. And that's the challenge, and I think we can do it. And I would just go back in time where we can learn to make sure that we address that challenge, that threat. Sweden and Scandinavia 25, 30 years ago, the government said enough incumbents opening the street, digging in the street every 6 months because they forgot about the 5 year and that. By law, we will force the counties and the cities to have their open access. And all the incumbents should have to migrate. The incumbents said, no, wait, we will never go, we will never ship to that, we will own the network, the relation with the client. But after a certain number of years, they realized that they cannot create money, value with those assets. And they all decided to migrate on those open access networks. And now in Sweden, in Stockholm, you have 77 service providers serving different services to citizens. I'm not telling you that P2 can have 75 service providers, but we have 3, 4 with P2. We can probably find other services we can bring, telehealth, telemedicine, etc. to the citizen. Instead of going on the ice in winter, you could order their grocery online, you could see the doctor, you could have the vital signs, etc. without having to go to the store. So it's what I'm referring to. The way to identify those needs and how can we serve those needs to the citizen in different market segments is the challenge. There will be a lot of work to be done because that's the threat and that's the opportunity of this.
So do we have the right people selling that? Yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we expect, and we're working on that, we plan to bring experts on that.
So how do we penetrate those markets?
Exactly.
How do we do that?
It depends on the market. You don't talk to seniors the same way as you would talk to teenagers, etc. So it's why in other projects we work with survey groups, expert in marketing to understand the need and how can we serve them, how can we connect with those people.
So who does that work? Do you do that work, or does the county do that work, or do you hire somebody to do that work? Who does that work?
What we plan in Big 2 here is we have those experts, we will bring those experts to Big 2 to work with the county.
Okay, thank
We will share our best practices that we see across North America and we'll bring that expertise here.
Okay, thank you. Great, thanks.
I think it might be important to point out this evening that we have Rhiannon with us, who has moved upstairs now, working on just what Larry's talking about. Who's going to do that? Who's going to deal with the customers? Who's going to promote it and sell it? And from within our staff, Rhiannon's the person that's going to do that. And so these fellows will be bringing in people to help her. They've already worked a lot on marketing strategies and stuff, I know. So I think I have confidence that we have good people upstairs along with Scott and Ian. You know, we need our own good people to make this happen. And I think we're beginning to get that team built right across the hall from us here. Councillor Dave Parker.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. The enormous amount of data, numbers, graphs, information. When this thing is mature, how many residential customers do you anticipate having? Well, let's say in 2035.
It's going to be close. The assumption is we expected that the demographic growth of P2 County will be 1 to 2% per year. I think we were at -0.5 for the last many years, so we expected that because of the network, because of all that growth strategy you have, you would bring more people, so the demographic growth would be 1.
No, the question I'm asking is for a number. Take the year 2035. Yeah.
I think it's the first slide, please. Second one. So in 20, excuse me, as far, in 20,
Yeah, I'm not closer to who you are.
yeah, in 2026, when the network is deployed, 12,754, that's going to be the homes connected.
And if I saw another graph there correctly, there was a graph, well, it was showing the price for all the various provinces, and Nova Scotia and one of them had a sharp downturn, which I like, downturn in cost. And I think when I saw those numbers, it was somewhere around $20, $25 a month cheaper from MOPC than it was from Eastlink or Bell. So if you take, that's the way I do math, 12,000 times 20 or 25, that's a $250,000 a month that our residents will be saving.
So,
And the other point I want to make, not only are they saving a $250,000 a month, you can do the math on that for a year, they're also paying down this. So if a future council decides to want to sell it, well, we have a valuable asset there. Now, the problem with selling it is that $20 or $25 a month that we, the residents, will be saving will suddenly be gone if it was Bell or Rogers, one of them took it over. But I mean, those are points that the general public needs to hear. You know, 10 to 12,000 people saving $20 to $25 a month, adds up to $250,000 a month. Okay, you can go and multiply that by 12, you get what, $3 million a year or something like that. And at the same time, they're paying for a very valuable asset out of that lower rate. Those are the kinds of things I wish to communicate to our general public. Thank you.
just to agree with the detail, you're absolutely right, and I'm sharing your thoughts. If you've got 12,000 homes, 50% will buy services on the network. So you're talking about 6,000 people who will save 20, 25, $30 per month. So that's the economy people will save. But that on 20 years, massive investment. And it's why I compare it to the cities and the counties who had the vision 20 years ago to build dams on the river and keep it. And that's makes a big difference. That represents 30% of their profit. And they pay. That's why this network could become a social economic development tool.
Okay, I have Councillor Palmer, and then we're gonna wind it up soon, folks, because we're up to 9 o'clock here, and we have a few items to deal with yet. Go ahead, Councillor Palmer.
Like Councillor Dave Park said, a lot of information here tonight, a lot. And it's pretty hard to take it all in. But my question is, with this slide here, you see at the bottom of the 100, right? For $54.99 to $60, right? And that's the municipality. But this is for fiber?
Yeah, that's the price that the ISPs on the county's network are charging to their client.
So my question is, how much are we getting out of that $54.99 to $60?
So the cost you charge to the ISPs for each door is $35 plus some transport. So the total revenue that the county will generate for each door that the ISP serves is $41.
$41. Is that enough to cover our costs?
Yeah, the
It
business
is?
is billed on $41 for the residential market, the equivalent for the commercial.
So when she's all up and running, if we get 50% of the customers, they'll be paying $41, $42 for the thing. Okay. We talked about fiber and the shortage and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have all the fiber now to do the whole project? Or do we have to purchase fiber?
For the phase, I would say we have enough now to do us the next summer, and we keep ordering in tranches. Supply chains have corrected since COVID. There are no more shortages.
There's no more shortages? I thought during that we're ahead of the rest of Canada because we had purchased it when there's the shortage and things like that. But we don't have the full fiber here now.
Everything that was purchased initially has all been deployed in phase one.
Deployed.
First phase.
Okay. Okay. Shoo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I had a couple more questions here, but so we're not. I'm confused about the project too because initially it was 71 million, then it went down to 53, same as Don, right? Now we're back up to 95. And that's where it was originally when we had another group looking after it, right? Because they said we'll be around 94 to 98 or something like that. So I'm kind of surprised, and I understand the federal money is based on getting to those areas that are underserved, right? But we have to go by. So we were told before that we needed 64% of the residents to sign up in order to break even. Now we're told it's 50%. So that's,
The assumption is 50% take rate because we want to be conservative. What we see across Canada and the US for those open access network is with time, people will buy more services on their network because they own it, because it creates value and they can understand it. So if they have to pay an incumbents or pay their own network, they will prefer to migrate and pay their service provider on their network. First thing. Second thing, what we see actually in North America, same thing in Europe years ago. The incumbents realize that they are not creating value with their capex, with their investment. Their return on invested capital on the capex side is declining. They don't know how to invest in those massive capex and create value. They are good to create value in the relation with their customer, create brands, selling, marketing, etc., services, different services and products. But to create value with the capex, they are not good, and their return is going down. For the first time in 150 years, we saw last year AT&T creating a JV with BlackRock, a big investment firm in the US. And they asked BlackRock to manage billions of dollars in investment in capex because they're not creating value. If AT&T does it, Bell, Rogers will follow because they all copy AT&T. It's a lead in the market. What does that mean? We will not be surprised if in a few years, not maybe 1 or 2, maybe 5 or 7, the incumbents in the region will stop investing in their own network, and they will prefer to migrate on your network and save money and invest more in the relation to get customers, but not on the fiber, not on the infrastructure, just in the relation in the federal market. That's what we see in the West. That's what we see more and more. And AT&T is a good example.
okay.
So that 50% take-up, where you think that you will serve 50% of the population will buy services on your network, could be eventually like we see in Europe, 100%. Because now, after 6, 7, 8 years, all the incumbents have decided to stop investing in their capex and migrate. They migrated on the open access network. So now the cities and the counties are serving 100% of the population. Some of them for internet, some of them for the doctor, the clinic, the school, etc. But they serve 100% of the access for different services. We are 50%. If we can reach that take up to 50 to 60 to 70% in 5, 10, 15 years, it will just pay it that quicker and create more value.
If what you say happens, it would be great if we could get the 100%, right? But what scares me is new technology, because everything's changing so fast in today's world, and that's what scares me. The other thing is, we seen it during Fiona. All the power lines were down, everything like that. Well, that's going to be our network that's going to be down on the ground too. So, you know, I know a lot of people complain that we had no internet service and no power, but when you have storms like that, you got to expect it. So, my thing is, like, we're going to have a pretty good crew to go around fixing our network, and would you guys be responsible for them? Or is that on us? Like, is the municipality looking after our own maintenance, or is that part of what you guys are hired for?
So it's part of the contract for operation and maintenance. So right now Telecom has a contract to do the maintenance. So they've got service levels to respond. They've got restoration kits ready to go, pre-splice kits for breaks. They were very responsive to Fiona, so we got a chance to try them out. I mean, they're the largest provider of their kind in Canada. They're Bell's backbone. So that's who we partnered with. So you're going to get as good a service as Bell. Most of the problems with these power outages is not necessarily the cable down. Our cables were down during Fiona, but we never lost connectivity. We were
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'm trying to wind it up here. Brian has asked to make a quick comment and I have Andy, and that'll have to be it if we're gonna get out of here before 10. Go ahead.
I'll let him go first.
Okay, go ahead, Andy.
I guess I get I get some concerns about the price tag of this. I guess this project sort of reminds me of a Yogi Bearism, and it's when you come to a fork in the road, you take it. Because when we started down this road, the cost that was given to us is we can get this thing set up for $15 million. Everybody that's not served can be served for $15 million. That was the August 2018 iValley report. Then it went to 25, and then it went to 37. Then it went to 51, it went to 62, to 71, to 90, back to 55, and now we're back up to 91. I just don't, like, there's no gravity with this project. Like, I'm just flabbergasted about this. But, and I guess my frustration is, I wish I had this presentation to look at before tonight's meeting, because I can't see any of that stuff. Like, it's, so for us to be voting on something tonight, I have no idea what we're voting on, because I need to look at this information. And where do you get the 50%? Is the 50% from the 4,500 underserved homes, or is it the 12,000 homes? Like, there's 2/3 of our residents in Pictou County already have adequate internet now. They're not clamoring for this. Where do you get 50%? Where does that number come from?
What we see in other projects in Canada and US is if you are in an unserved area, the take-up could reach 70% because people don't have options.
Okay.
In a market like here where you already have some incumbents, you play between 45 and 55.
Yep.
You can reach that. Because one thing is important, the feeling of ownership. People own their land. If they have the choice to pay whoever the incumbents is and to pay an ISP on its own network, and will decide to create value for this thing.
What is the percentage of homes in Pictou County that are underserved right now?
I don't have information.
I know what it is in Nova Scotia. In 2019, the Engage Nova Scotia did a survey, a quality of life survey. They surveyed about 13,600 residents in Nova Scotia. It was a 230 question survey, so it was a long form survey. People did it on, it was a paper survey, so it was accessible to everybody in Nova Scotia. And that survey indicated that 83% of Nova Scotians were happy with their internet service. So you're telling me that we have an 18% uptake right now, you're right on target for to their percentage, that because it's only 17% of Nova Scotians in that survey. And it was the largest subset of surveys for a quality of life survey in North America. So it's fairly accurate. And that survey said only 17% of Nova Scotians were unhappy with the service of their internet. And that would be your more rural areas, a lot of my district. So I'm a little puzzled as to how you're going to get to 50%. Because I have two, in my suburban area where I live, I have a suburban area and I have a very rural and remote area that won't see any of this probably until 2027 now, because they'll be the last one served likely. In my suburban area, we have options. We don't just have one carrier. And you're going to come in over those wires as well? Is that what we're planning on doing? We're going to basically every home in the rural municipality? Is that the idea?
We're going to have to wind it up, Councillor Thompson.
I'm just, I don't understand, because that wasn't part of the original plan. It was to look after the 4,500 underserved homes in the rural areas. Now we're going to, I just don't understand why we're taking that leap.
We need to move along.
I need to hear this.
Well, it better be quick, because we need to move along, I
I
said.
just asked the question.
Go ahead, Mark, but we don't have a lot of time here now. Go ahead.
Quick answer to the
Yeah.
question. Why did T2 receive 40 million from the federal? For one reason. When they look across Canada and have those detailed polygon about who is unserved, who is underserved, etc. across Canada, is where they allocate the money. So if they have decided to choose to invest 40 million here, it's because the federal, with all their knowledge, considers that People County was one of the area where they had to solve that issue by the first goal of the project. If the expert at the federal level will manage billions of dollars for the project to solve that issue, decide to invest here, you probably have one of the projects who receive the most money across Canada that are not incumbent. Means a lot. Means that they think, based on this polygon, that there are a lot of unserved people who are paying too much. And the CRPC confirmed that. So I think that the reason why all that federal money and commercial money came here is to solve that issue. So I think you did what you had to do to bring that money, that project, to those citizens who are paying too much, actually don't have competition. Where, I cannot give you the detail for now, but if you look at the whole county, it's why the federal have decided to put 40 million here. There was a reason.
Okay.
The rural county in Nova Scotia were one of the most expensive across Canada. And the project is right on the side.
Thank you, Mark.
One quick snapper here. The other areas that you're talking about where this has taken place, where they've gotten 50%, can you share those other projects? Those other, they must be municipally owned projects somewhere else that received that kind of uptake.
I'm going to end it there, because we could go on all night. Brian has one last comment to make here.
Just a couple points on take-up rates, I guess, to Councillor Palmer. Like, when we did the original business case back in 2019, the 60% was based on I guess the operating budgets and things of that nature at that time. The budgets that are now here are refined, so the costs are better known, what it is to operate. So that's why there is kind of a decrease there. And I think the other point that's worth noting, the original business plan had the amortization period, I think, at a 30-year debt repayment. We're now basically looking at a 20-year payback. So we've actually cut our debt payment back by 10 years and increased the level of debt. So the payment is actually a lot quicker before the municipality starts seeing tangible benefits of $5 to $7 million to the community. That's 10 years earlier than our original model in 2019.
You want to speak to this? I know you're going to make the motion, Deputy Warden Murray, but you're going to speak to the temporary borrowing resolution, what the reasoning is there?
Yes. So the temporary borrowing resolution that's here tonight, as the project progresses, the plan is to basically acquire the debt, the long-term debt. So our next opportunity to acquire the debt is in the spring. Right now, we're financing the project through short-term borrowing through commercial enterprise. The difference in market rates that we have is about 1.5% that we're paying on short-term over what we will pay on long-term. So this temporary borrowing resolution basically puts it, gives us the ability to go to market in the spring issue by Municipal Finance Corp, reduce our borrowing costs because we're shifting from a financial institution to basically a bond, municipal debenture type thing. So that's what this does. It sets us up for the spring borrowing. And as the assets transition from build to operation, we'll continue to shift from short-term financing to long-term debenture. It saves us money long-term. And we're discussing strategies around what that long-term looks like. Right now, Canada's in a flux and interest rates are at a level, but over the next year to 2 years, Canada's heading towards a recession. If we're not already there, indicators would probably say we are there, type thing. So those rates should come down over the next, we'll say 24 months, type thing. Even on our short-term borrowing, I did have a call today with our short-term lender, and they even say, like, they would have said, you know, you're 24, 36 months away from seeing rates drop. They said they're not confident that they could say that today. They think it will be 24, maybe 25. We'll start to see even short-term rates go the other way. So.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Deputy Warden Murray at this point to move this resolution for this temporary borrowing resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Temporary borrowing resolution, amount of $28,047,000, purposes for the rural broadband project. Whereas Section 66 of the Municipal Government Act provides that the Council of Municipality of the County of Pictou, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, may borrow to expend funds for a capital purchase as authorized by statute. Whereas in the whereas the Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou has adopted a capital budget for this fiscal year as required by Section 65 of the Municipal Government Act, and are so authorized to expend funds for a capital project purpose as identified in their capital budget. And whereas the Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou has determined to borrow the purpose of rural broadband project. Be it resolved that under the authority of Section 66 of the Municipal Government Act, the Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou borrows some or sums not exceeding $28,047,000 for the purpose set out above, subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. That the sum be borrowed by the issue and sale of debentures of the Council of the Municipality of the County of Pictou to such an amount as the Council deems necessary. That the issue of debentures be postponed pursuant to Section 92 of the Municipal Government Act, and that the Council borrow from time to time a sum or sums not exceeding $28,047,000 in the total from any chartered bank or trust company doing business in Nova Scotia. That the sum be borrowed for a period not exceeding 12 months from the date of the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing of this resolution. That the interest payable on the borrowing be paid at a rate to be agreed upon, and that the amount be borrowed to repaid from the receipts to the debentures when sold. I so move this borrowing resolution and seconded by Councillor McKeel.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the temporary borrowing resolution, the amount of $28,047,000. Moved and seconded. Are there any questions on that temporary borrowing resolution? Go ahead, Councillor Wadden.
It's not really a question, I think it's a comment. I'm a bit concerned tonight because this is a huge temporary borrowing resolution. $28 million is not a small amount for this council, for this county. And to think that we didn't have a chance to see any of these financials before tonight and was rushed through for discussion, no one else had any time to ask questions, and even questions went unanswered. I don't think that's fair to the councillors, and I don't think it's fair to the council, and I don't think it's fair to this county. I think in the future, and I think we've asked for this many, many times before, we have asked to have this information prior to our meeting. To sit here tonight, this should have been a separate meeting altogether, so we could have discussed it and seen seen the information before we came here and had a chance to get the explanations to us and then ask our questions. And I don't think that was done. So I just have to say that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a resolution in front of us, moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
I agree with Councillor Wadden. I have grave concerns that I don't have the information. I haven't had the information up to this point, and to know that there was a presentation ready that we couldn't even follow, I'm going to put a motion on the floor that this gets tabled till the December meeting, because I need to see the information before I can make a decision.
Have the Information in time with the borrow? Can we get the borrowing done in time if we did that? How soon do we need that borrowing?
It generally takes the province a couple months to turn around.
It's a motion to table, but we have to keep in mind that we have to have enough money here to pay the man when he needs it, so there's a motion to table, so there's, pardon me? Have we got a seconder? Yep. So, keep in mind what we're doing, but all those in favor of the motion to table? All those against? Right. Nays have it, so we'll move on now with the vote on the resolution. I'm going to call for that vote now. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Nay. 2 nays, thank you. Now we'll move along to the dialysis units in Pictou County, and Councillor Boyles, I believe. Oh, sorry? Oh, we let them go, do you think? Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for being here, Mike and Mark, and all the information that you gave us. And we'll look forward to our next visit. In the meantime, we'll bug the Power Corporation again, I think. Yeah. Okay, now we will move along to the dialysis units in Pictou County. And Councillor Boyles, this is your one you put on here.
Yeah, there's, excuse me, in the town of Pictou, they have 9 dialysis units, I guess, already. There was 8 more approved to come to Pictou County, but the powers that be turned around and decided they put them in Pictou too. Dialysis machines are designed to be in hospitals because there's so much stuff that can happen. People on dialysis are prone to pneumonia, stuff like that, where if they're in a hospital, they can put them right in and get an x-ray. If they're somewhere like Pictou, can't do that for them. They have to be sent out. They've already had 1 person pass away in the chair in Pictou, and 1 person that they couldn't breathe, and it took them 10 minutes to get an ambulance there to around and try and help them out. But what we're thinking of, I mean, they got 9 chairs in Pictou. The 8 chairs should be put in the Glasgow at the Aberdeen Hospital. I mean, you got 5 towns, you know, right around there. And, well, you got Pictou with theirs already, so the other 4 to around, you got and the municipality has, you know, it's just don't seem logical not to have it in a major hospital dialysis unit. It's in the wintertime when, like I'm talking to many people came forward and asked me to bring this, is that they got to do that causeway. If it's a storm or anything going on, I mean, they either can't make it or they take their life in their hands trying to get here. You know what I mean? Which is ludicrous. I mean, there's so much wrong with not putting these other 8 machines in the Aberdeen Hospital. I mean, the Honourable Pat Dunn he thought they were going there, and everything looked like it was, but for some reason they decided to put them in Pictou. So what I'm looking for is you know, I'd like to make a motion that we turn around and write the you know, the Premier and the Minister of Health and whoever we should write that to turn around and request that these 8 new machines be put in the Aberdeen Hospital to make it fair for everyone and make it you know, something that they recommend. They recommend them to be in the hospitals, not you know. So you know, I'd like to make a motion that we write them and ask them request that these 8 additional chairs be put in the Aberdeen Hospital.
Okay, we have a seconder for that motion. Okay, so the motion is on the floor now. Are there any comments or questions on the motion itself? Councillor Dave Parker.
I happen to have some inside information because of people I know and talk to. Both of our hospitals in this county are old. And that presents real challenges. The budget they allotted to put these new dialysis units in Pictou was blown out of the water almost immediately because they had to upgrade the electrical and they had to upgrade the HVAC system and so on and so forth. I'm pleased that we're getting the units. I don't dispute the fact that crossing the causeway in a snowstorm is not a lot of fun. In fact, I recall an incident where a fellow lost his life trying to get it around that and get lost, going through dialysis. And let's keep in mind that some of our neighbors or patients have to travel to Halifax to get their dialysis because there's only a certain type of dialysis that's available in Pictou. So it's not as easy as just saying, we'll put them here and put them there. There's not a lot of room in either hospital. They have to create more room, more chairs, I think they refer to them as. It's, you know, we can ask, but they're well down the path to planning this. I don't see them changing it. Yeah, it'd be nice to have, you know, some in every county, but if you live in Guysborough County and you need dialysis, you're traveling a long way to get it. So we do have some, and they're increasing the number that we have, which is a good thing. But it's not simply a matter of saying, well, we'll put 2 here and 2 here and 2 here and 2 here. But I'm not opposed to asking, but I'm not hopeful that we'll get the answer that Councillor Boyles wishes to hear.
Okay, are there further comments on this resolution? If not, I'll call, or go ahead, Darrell.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. With how the healthcare system in Nova Scotia is set up right now, it's my understanding that there's kind of, it's almost like a pod system. Like, this is where orthopedics are, this is where dialysis is, this is where diabetes clinics are, this is where heart, you know, cardiac, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that, you know, while it would be nice to have everything at every hospital, that's just not the case. And I think why Pictou was a choice for that was because it had the space, because of the doctors moving out to the new health center over here, or healthcare providers, excuse me, moving out to the healthcare center here. And it is unfortunate. I drive across that causeway 5 days a week in the wintertime, sun, snow, sleet, everything. So I know that it can be absolutely terrible, and I understand that. But I think this is the model that the province has come up with to service that. I'm not sure, as Councillor Parker said, that we're going to be able to change that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. But I think that was the point of the Sutherland Harris Memorial Hospital, was to have those, because that was that pod, so to speak, for those dialysis patients. So that's my
Okay.
understanding.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, old hospitals. The Aberdeen Hospital's not that old. They just put that new extension on. I mean, we were all to the grand opening up there. I mean, they have, what, 23 examining rooms in that place? I mean, there's lots of room that they could put dialysis chairs, and it is new. Myself, say, you know, that it's something I want. It's something that people want, that came to me and asked me to turn around and bring it here, because they're the ones that is going for dialysis. I mean, thank God I'm not going for it yet, but if it ever done happen, or did happen, I would wish that there was some in New Glasgow, that I didn't have to come all the way to Pictou to, and the, it's clear, it's clear that the literature states that dialysis machines should be in a hospital, not in, you know, and just put here or there because, you know, it's the place that they would like to have them. They should be in a hospital because if somebody has an emergency when they're in that chair, bingo, they can have them right into the emergency and be working on them instead of waiting for an ambulance to come and get them. You know, like we already had one person, they say died. One person turned around in 10 minutes for an ambulance come. He could have, you know, he could have died. Just because it's a model doesn't make it right. I mean, you know, the government, they frig up on a lot of things every day, and it's just not right. I mean, common sense tells us that you turn around and it should be in a hospital where if there's again problems, they can be dealt with right away and not have to wait to turn around or make an appointment because they think they might have pneumonia and they can't get them a dialysis to send them up and make an appointment to get into the Aberdeen when they would take them right in and have them x-rayed and see. So I think that, you know, again, asking isn't a big thing, and maybe they'll say no, but I mean, at least we could ask.
Okay, Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. One quick thing. This seems to me to be an administrative decision. I think that healthcare should be patient-centered. From all the conversations that I have, a lot of the problems in the healthcare system is in management and in administration, and the patient-centered model is not working. So proportionately, the population to me in Pictou County would warrant chairs going in the Aberdeen Hospital. You know, the preponderance of the population is on that side of the causeway. So to me, if you look at it logically and you look at it patient-centered rather than administrative-centered or management-centered, those chairs should go in the Aberdeen Hospital. Thank you.
Okay, I think we better call for the vote or we'll be here past 10 o'clock. So the motion then, again, is to write a letter to the Minister of Health requesting that the new dialysis beds and the Premier, the new dialysis beds be put into Glasgow and not Pictou. That's the motion? Just want to make everybody clear what we're voting on. The new chairs, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to call for the vote. So all those in favor of sending that letter, please say aye. Aye. And all those against, please say nay. All right, send the letter. Motion passed. Now we're on to Councillor Dewar. Concerns about bank closures.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, very much. It's been brought to my attention by residents in my area and myself included, and I've been watching it, and I feel like it's kind of a David and Goliath story, okay? Because when you're dealing with big monstrous corporations, little people don't have much say in anything anymore. And what I'm going to talk about for a minute is the Bank of Nova Scotia closing in so many places. They closed both banks in Westville. They've closed the banks in Sheet Harbour, so that means those two communities are coming to Stellarton. Stellarton can't handle the overflow because they haven't got enough people working there. So they cut the hours back in Stellarton from 11 to 3. And in Halifax, they lost 2 banks in Annapolis Royal, Shelburne, Bridgetown, and Pugwash will be closing in the spring. How does companies that all the little people served them to make them what they are today, and they're turning over billions of dollars a quarter, want to close down? Like it's been happening, and it's going to continue to happen. But a lot of people Well, they're saying that 2/3 of the people got everything. Well, in my area, I got two roads. I got the 374 coming from Sheet Harbor and the 289 coming in my areas. And the banks are closed in both those communities. And the other afternoon, I had an appointment at the bank in Nova Scotia and Stellarton. There were 17 people ahead of me when I left. And I didn't wait, because when you only have one girl working up there, and that poor soul's working as hard as she can to look after everybody, and they're telling the other girls that moved to other banks or quit altogether, they're cutting their hours. So there's something wrong with this picture, and I think somebody should be responsible to answer to that kind of stuff. And I know it's not the municipality of Pictou County, but I think there should be a letter from the MLAs or email, the Premier and the MP and even the Prime Minister. Somebody should be accountable for what's happening, okay? Because I could give you a piece of paper with a dozen names on it of people that don't have the internet, don't know one thing about anything modern about banks. Like, a lot of people still want to get a stamp on their power bill that they paid it, or their telephone bill, and you go to the bank and get it. Well, if there's no bank there, they're really starting to worry about the concerns down the road. So anyway, I'd like a letter to go to the MLAs and the Premier and MP. I'm making a motion of that. And even the Prime Minister, to see who's, and I know that Brian or Suzanne can write it up, that it'll be the right kind of a write-up, but people, the little people, need to be supported, and that's why they come to their counselor to try to get help. So I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter about the bank closures, and thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Deputy, go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Well, I gladly second it, because I have certain, I guess, concerns, the same as Chester had. Different people come to me about the same thing, about bank closures. It's not the younger generation, it's the older generation. It doesn't understand online banking and all this other stuff, and that's who I feel sorry for. I know there's not likely anything to be done, but I would second the motion. So we can write a letter and say that we're not satisfied, or some of us. Thank you.
Okay, just 1 second, I got Councillor McKeel here next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. So as part of my job, I tend to go to banks sometimes. And I had to go down to the bank you mentioned, Stellarton. And I had to wait. I didn't have a choice. And when I got there, there was, I believe, 13 people in front of me. And when I left, there was 17. There was elderly people that could not stand that long in line and wait. We're trying to get them chairs. We're trying to they had some chairs on wheels. They had other chairs that were bringing in. Even people coming, some of the older people had their coins rolled. They couldn't hold them in line that long. It was really sad. And the poor woman at the bank, I mean, like, she was doing as much as she could and going through stuff. But I mean, when it's your shot, you're trying to get everything done that you need to get done. But it just seemed to me that, you know, it's not a fault on a Stellarton branch. That's just who happens to be open. But my goodness, like, I couldn't, it was shocking to see the elderly people there that couldn't stand in that line, and there was nothing for them, and they had no choice. They had to wait. It was a Friday afternoon. If they wanted their cash, if they wanted whatever, they had to wait in that line. They obviously did not feel comfortable going to a bank machine, and that should be, we used to have these full-service establishments, and, you know, banks were no different. If you're going down south for a trip, you needed to go see the teller. You had to get your American money, or you had to, you know, if you wanted to pay a bill, it's nice to have a stamp and show that it's paid. I just think it's another step in us moving towards a cashless society. And unfortunately, I think this is a precursor of what's ahead in store for us. And in the meantime, I think that something needs to be done. There needs to be some chairs set up. There needs to be something that these people can to be seated in or waiting or something to be helpful to them, because it was pretty shocking, and I felt pretty terrible waiting in the line that day. So I just thought I'd give my color commentary. So
Thank you for that. I think this is a problem, especially for that generation that's on their last whatever number of years. Probably in 25 years' time, it won't be a problem. There'll be, everybody will be more alert technologically. But I know a lot of people too that they got no use for that type of world. They just want to pay cash. They want to cash their check. They can't even cash their check anymore because it goes in automatic. But I think that's the group we're looking for, and it's a good, I support the motion, because there is a whole group of people out there that are being hard done by right now. Councillor Dave Parker, if I never forgot you.
Thought you were starting to ramble. I'm a long-time customer of the Bank of Nova Scotia, over 50 years. And for 40 of those years or more, I banked in the town of Westville. Nice little bank. They had 2 or 3 tellers, maybe 4 on a real busy afternoon. And then a couple of years ago, they decided I don't know why they decided to move that branch down to Stellarton. At the same time, they closed the branch in Sheet Harbor. Now, most of us may not realize it, but the closest bank to Sheet Harbor now is the Stellarton branch. So all of a sudden, you took one bank, there are 3 banks, and combined them into one. And now a couple of the tellers, which I've known for decades, are working in Stellarton, and they work right off their feet. They never get to pick their head up hardly, because there's 5 or 7 or 13 or 15 in line waiting for them. Some days, there's almost always only 2 tellers open. Somebody comes in with some complex needs, open an account, or something wrong with their account, or da-da-da. They'll tie a teller up for 20 minutes or half an hour. Now you're down to 1. The line get even longer. Now, here's the part I don't get, the rationale of saying, well, we couldn't get it done in 7 hours, so let's cut it down to 5 hours. That's going to make it worse, not better. There are some things they could do, providing some chairs, because a lot of the people in the line are older than me.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really old, and they have no ability to work with a computer, and they have mobility issues, and so on and so forth. And it's clear to me that, and it's no different, the Royal did the very same thing. They went from 5 down to 3. The other 3, TD, Commerce, and BMO, only have 1 branch in the entire county. That's why I left TD. I got tired of waiting out in the weather for them to come serve me. My point is, they're deliberately doing this, okay? And they're saying, oh, well, not enough business and people's habits are changing. That's true. That is true. People's habits are changing. But you should be able, especially these people that are 80 and 85, they're only going to the bank once a month. They should be able to call and say, listen, I need an appointment for 11:30. Can you have someone there to help me? Take them over to the bank machine and help them with those things. There are things they could do, but they're almost acting inhumanely. Too bad. You should have figured out how to run that by now. Some of these people are never going to figure out how to run those bank machines. I'm maybe in that letter we should make a couple of suggestions, including having someone there to facilitate that particular branch. For about 3 months last winter, they had a young man sit out there, supposedly for security. I have no idea what he was doing. Okay, would have been better take that money and use him as an ombudsman, if you want to call it that, to help some of these poor people go to the bank machine. But anyway, we should probably make a couple of suggestions within the letter, is what I'm saying.
Okay, right now we have a motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Dewar and seconded by Councillor McKeel, so we're going to vote on that motion. And if there's a wish when they design the letter to put suggestions in it, that's fine, but we'll just deal with the motion for now. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Okay, motion carried, and So we've come down to the last item on our agenda, which is community announcements. Does anybody have community announcements tonight? Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
Just, I'm happy to report that Springville Church and Community Hall hosted their first Hunter's Breakfast in 4 years. So it's been a long 4 years. They've, in that time, they basically renovated their hall, and this was the first major event, and it was on Saturday. They only had a couple days to prep for it, but they had over 100 patrons to come by and support the breakfast. There won't be one this weekend because of Remembrance Day, but they have another 3 or 4 left in the season, and it's nice to see events like that reestablish themselves in the county.
Okay, any further community announcements? I have one, but I'll wait till everybody else is finished, if there are no more. On November the 18th, a week from Saturday, I guess it is, the Durham Men's Club is back, like Andy said, after 4 years, making pies. So they sell apple pies or make them themselves there and sell them to the general public. It's a good fundraiser that the Men's Club in Durham then can help families, local families, whether it's health problems or income problems or whatever. They can help county, and they also help at the local schools. So that's taking place. If anybody wants to order pies, of course, they can contact me or one of the other members of the Men's Club. Like I say, it's a good fundraiser. So if there's no other community announcements tonight, we'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you and drive safe.